Security expert Jeffrey Fischer joins me now live from Vienna. He's also a retired Air Force colonel for the U.S. Army. Colonel, good to have you here on the show. Some experts would argue that this Wagner Mercenary Group has become a joke. On one day, they decide to pull out, and on another day, they say, okay, we are back again with the Russian military. So what exactly is going on with them?
Yeah, so it is a little bit hard to understand, Jeffrey. And by the way, thanks for having me on your show. It's great to talk to your audience. Russia's in a lot of trouble. Wagner is a mercenary organization by all definitions, and therefore, and some of the things they've done, they're a terrorist organization as well. In the case between the Russian military and the mercenary organization Wagner, you have a difficult situation because there's really one supply chain that goes into that, feeding that battle space. And you have two competing armies trying to get resources. So Prigozhin, the leader of Wagner, he's in a tough situation, right? He's the guy who's supposed to be paying the bills to the soldiers. Granted, he gets his money also from Russia. So it's a tough situation. I would say when you had a Victory Day parade in your Russia yesterday and you had one tank in your parade, Russia's in a lot of trouble.
Right, and now we are seeing France and the United Kingdom engaged in efforts to designate the Wagner Mercenary Group as a terrorist organization. This is only symbolic, right? Or is it actually going to have some sort of implications in the war in Ukraine?
Yeah, well, it's not just symbolic. It's got a little bit of teeth to it, right? So first of all, Wagner as a mercenary organization does not follow the Geneva Convention. They're not bound by the laws of armed conflict. On some of the things that have been reported out of the battle space of what Wagner's been doing clearly does rise to, in my book, the level of terrorism. In that case, if you read the UK law, as I understand the UK law, once they are designated as a terrorist organization, anyone who pays reverence to them, shows their patches, these are criminal activities in the UK, and they can be punished. What would really be interesting is if the United States steps up and does this, because then all of a sudden there's a lot of financial teeth that go into this as well.
And Colonel, just how powerful is the Wagner Group? Because, see, they have been fighting in Bakhmut for God knows how many months now. I think it's been more than 8 months since they have been fighting in Bakhmut. But up until now, they have not been able to capture that territory. So one would really question their resolve, their strength.
Well, I would say Wagner's a global organization, right? So they're fighting in many different places. I know that Prigozhin has asked for a lot more capability than Russia's been able to give, and you're very correct in the fact that they've been fighting for 8 months. What I think was really interesting when we look at yesterday, right? When we you know Bakhmut has been a war that's been measured in meters, right? In hundreds of meters. The battle space really hasn't moved that much. It's trench warfare. And then all of a sudden, with with Prigozhin and with Wagner making the threats to pull out and how they're supposed to integrate with Russia yesterday, the initial reports out of Ukraine are that Ukraine gained a substantial amount of territory. And when I say substantial, I'm talking kilometer or two. So that it's not like they pushed them back, by 5, 15, 20 kilometers. But kilometers is pretty. You're talking about a war that for 8 months has been measured in meters.
All right, Colonel Jeffrey Fischer, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World.